Al-Hajj Supreme Committee holds Al Saud as responsible for preventing the Syrians from performing Al-Hajj for the third year in a row. Syrian Arab Army targets the terrorist gatherings in Binnish and the west of Idleb, killing 22 terrorists. Iraqi army continues to defeat Daesh and al-Maliki corps for pressing ahead in fighting terrorism and its elites. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad issued legislative decree number 34 for the year 2014 on establishing a public body called the Syrian Electronic School that enjoys financial and administrative independence. The school is to be based in Damascus and to be affiliated with the Minister of Education. The Syrian Electronic School would provide teaching at remote distances through electronic devices for all students, starting from the first primary grade until the high school grade, by using the most modern informatics and the remote teaching technologies. In an unjust procedure that reflects Al Saud policy towards Syria, the High Committee for Pilgrimage announced that the Saudi government prevented the Syrians from performing pilgrimage for the third season running. Endowments Minister in the caretaker government, Dr. Muhammad Abd al-Sattar al-Sayyed, said in a statement that the Saudi Wahhabi Kingdom's insistence to prevent the Syrians from performing pilgrimage is an unprecedented act in the Islamic history. Therefore, the Pilgrimage Committee held the Saudi government responsibility for such shameful act in front of God, history, and the Arab and Islamic nations. Tribal leaders and elders, members of parliament and leaders of various activities from Deir ez-Zor governorate asserted their stance against terrorism in all its forms, and in particular the terrorist group of the so-called state of Iraq and the Levant. In a statement after their meeting, which was held in the city of young people in Damascus, the participants in the meeting declared that they stand united in the face of what would destabilize security and stability, stressing their support to the Syrian Arab Army in defending the homeland under the leadership of President Bashar al-Assad. In their statement, the participants also highlighted the efforts taken by the residents in Deir ez-Zor's eastern countryside to repel the terrorist group so-called State of Iraq and the Levant. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani renewed his country's support for the Syrian people in the face of the terrorist and Takfiri groups in the region. During the annual meeting with ambassadors and heads of Iran's diplomatic missions, President Rouhani said that Iran is providing assistance to the people in Syria, Palestine and Lebanon to counter terrorism and the Takfiri and Zionist threats. Rouhani criticized the silence of the international organizations on the barbaric aggression by the Zionist entity against the Palestinian people in Gaza. The Iranian president explained that the challenges in the region necessitate boosting diplomatic moves to defend the rights and the national principles. On the nuclear negotiations with the West, Rouhani stressed that the nuclear issue is a crisis that had been made up, pointing out that Tehran is seriously pursuing negotiations with the group of 5+1 to prove its legitimate rights and to reach a final agreement based on the principle of profit for both parties. Welcome back. About 100 of martyrs' sons and a number of the orphans from Saidnaya town have come back home early this morning after taking part in a 15-day scout camp held in the Russian capital Moscow with the participation of many Arab and Western countries. Syrian Arab Army units killed and injured a number of terrorists in Daraa, al-Qunaitira and Idleb and destroyed their criminal tools. A military source said that the Syrian Arab Army units killed and injured a number of terrorists to the east of Khirbet Ghazali, Nawa, Al-Kassara area and Simlin Zimrin roundabout, Tafas and Mzarib in Daraa countryside. The Syrian Arab Army units targeted terrorist gatherings in Sa'sa, Husseino Junction and Al-Khazrajiyya farms in Al-Qunaitira countryside, killing and wounding a number of them. Syrian Arab Army units have killed scores of terrorists, wounded others and destroyed their vehicles, some of which are equipped with heavy machine guns in Anaq, Mas'ade, Hawadid, Rahum and Al-Hawa in Homs countryside and in As-Saliba and As-San in Talbisa and south of Al-Qaryatain. Other Syrian Arab Army units have destroyed 2 machine guns, equipped vehicles and other 2 vehicles with all terrorists in them. Other terrorists have been killed in Tal al-Sanasil, Al-Farhaniya east of Kafarnan village along the road of Jabburin Sharshuh. In Idleb province, Syrian Arab Army units have targeted terrorist gatherings in Binish town and west of the province, killing more than 20 terrorists and wounding tens of them, in addition to destroying a storehouse containing gas cylinders ready to be detonated and 2 vehicles loaded with mortar shells. Iraqi Prime Minister Mr. Nouri al-Maliki has called upon the Iraqi armed forces, the enlisted and the Iraqi tribes to stand steadfast in facing the so-called Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant. In a televised speech, Mr. al-Maliki has called upon the Iraqi people to be very cautious because Iraq was facing a very grave and complicated situation. He expressed hope that the Iraqis would defeat the terrorists and emerge victorious in the battle of defending Iraq, which is the battle of all the Iraqis with no exception. Back to our local news. Minister of Health in the caretaker government, Dr. Saad al-Naif, has underlined the importance of enhancing joint cooperation with international organizations to address the medical needs of the patients in terms of equipment, medication and emergency materials, especially for those severely affected by the crisis Syria is witnessing. Meeting representatives of the international organizations working in Syria, Dr. Naif has called upon these organizations to provide more aid by supplying qualitative medicines and medical equipment that the Syrian Ministry of Health is unable to import. For her part, WHO's resident representative in Syria, Elizabeth Hoff, said that Syria has made a great achievement in combating polio, pointing out that WHO plans to reach the eastern regions of Syria to offer medical services and aid for the Syrians living in those areas. Finally, Ministry of Higher Education has held a workshop to assess the reality of open learning system in Syria and to take the necessary measures to upgrade it. Participants in the workshop have underlined the importance of reconsidering the regulations of the open learning system and the need to cooperate and coordinate among the universities in terms of applying the regulations of the open learning system and upgrading its curriculum. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Vani Genjan, but after a short break.
Good afternoon. The Minister of Agriculture emphasized that the government set more than 300 million Syrian pounds for supporting the poultry facility of Patriots and the other governorates in order to compensate for the damages that have affected this sector, adding that the government will work on opening a line between Syria and Russia to promote agricultural products and export them to Russia. The manager of the Committee of Exports Development said that a new strategy is being set to enhance competitiveness and performance, indicating that developing the export sector starts by setting programs to increase the capability of the Syrian companies and to choose about 40 commodities from small and medium companies in order to support them and improve their performance. Damascus countryside governorate called on the industrialists to accelerate their return to the establishments in the industrial city of Yebrud after finishing rehabilitation works in the area, asserting their readiness for providing all facilities needed to deliver production tools to the area in order to run the establishments there. The chairman of the Jewelers Assembly has denied the news, saying that the Assembly has released the new ounces to the markets, stressing that they are waiting for the appropriate occasion for that, noting that the Assembly has already prepared templates for the new golden ounce before delivering it to the jewelers. And now over to some main currencies exchange rates according to the bulletin of the Central Bank of Syria. And with this we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.